Alright guys, welcome to Red's Resort. Today we are finally ready to take off for the first time in the game. This series is normally focused a bit more on advanced tutorials, but today we're going to go over some of the more essential things required to get us flying in the game. We will do an advanced tutorial in a later episode that will really expand upon the nuances that come with mastering your ship. We have got a lot to get through, so let's get started. Okay, so before we even get in our ship, I've got a few things we should go over. First up is check what you're wearing. Make sure it's appropriate for vacuum in case you get into trouble. Make sure you've got a drink and possibly a multi-tool with a tractor beam. Maybe a few med pens, etc. You'll get used to performing these checks, but there's actually very few scenarios where not having these things won't provide you with a nice safety net. So, to call your ship, you want to either do it from here in the main spaceport foyer, or from the same terminal inside your hangar. This will show you all your ships and tell you where they are and what state they are in. If you're in the small hangar terminal, then the larger ships you've bought won't show on the list. If your ship isn't at your location, you can start a claim request to have it sent to you. Be aware though, this is an insurance claim, meaning if you have stuff in your ship wherever it is, that stuff will likely be lost. This service is free and only costs you time, but you can pay to have it expedited. Now, Star Citizen being what it is possible to find your ship in a less than optimal state when it spawns. Maybe the hangar did something weird. Maybe you tried to fly already without watching this video and you've lost a few bits of ship in the process. Not to worry, what you want to do is sit in your cockpit seat. Then press F1 to bring up your mobiglass. Navigate to landing. And here you can see there's controls for repair, rearm and refuel. Check the cost because there are some cases where this can get pretty extortionate, either through ship damage or replacing missiles and the like. Make sure you're all topped up and in good shape. Okay, now we've got maximum fuel and ammo, and this ship isn't likely to blow up or only fly in circles. We're ready to take off. Only joking, we're not even close. First we need to talk about binds and inversions. Now for this series I will be using the default binds for the game to streamline the learning process, but you can change the binds to whatever suits your needs. You also might have a flight stick set up or prefer to play with a gamepad. Let me just show you how to make some quick adjustments to get things more to your liking. First of all, the binds are pretty easy to find. First select the control method down here, then click advanced, and this will give you access to all the binds you will need. You can also save your profile here. If you need to invert any axis, what you want to do is check in here what the device is called that you've bound. It might say input 4 for pitch, for example. Then you come out to controller and make sure that device is selected in the bottom right. Then you will find the inversion settings over here in the flight section. There's also quite a lot of other settings we should go over as well, but I'm going to quickly just tell you a few useful ones that will be good for you starting out. Now, you can permanently set these in the settings tab here, or you can do it per ship using the MFDs. First one is slowdown mode. This basically slows your ship to a crawl when you extend your landing gear. I personally keep this on for now. It will help you when coming into land and stop you from overshooting. It is really annoyingly slow though, so if you're confident to fly without it, then this is a setting to disable that. Space brake uses boost. Really essential to enable this. Now when you use brake, the game will auto use your afterburners as well. Again, stops you slamming into things at Mach Jesus. A common problem when judging distances in space. Proximity assist should be on as well, just slows you down when you get close to things. Once you get more confident, you can turn these things off to gain more control. Speed limiter is on at startup. We'll get into the speed limiter in a bit, but make sure this is on and it will help you get used to interacting with this system every time you get in your ship. I think it's on by default, but it's been a long time since I've seen default settings, so just make sure. Last but not least, make sure advanced HUD is on. All three of these. You can strip this down to a basic version a bit later, but for now let's just get access to all the information possible. Okay, let's get this ship fired up and go over some power management. So to turn your ship on, the default keybind is right alt plus R. This is flight ready and will bring your weapons, shields and engines online. Once you're in this state, any inputs you make to flight control will be active. There will be several multifunction displays in front of you as well as a HUD. and some casts in the top left of your screen if you're wearing a helmet, which you should be. The MFDs give you access to a range of different systems that will be relevant in other videos, but for now just hold F and navigate your mouse to any of the screens. You're looking for the power management screen, and you can cycle these using the tabs along the bottom. Once you find it, you can move the slider left and right to reveal all the systems of your ship. From left to right you will have weapons, engines and shields. Then after that, depending on what ship you will have a variety of other systems. The main ones you want to focus on are the radar, the life support, the quantum drive and cooling. You'll notice you have a specific number relating to the amount of power bars you can assign to these systems. This number is dictated by the type and class of power plant in your ship, something we'll go over in another video. Let's just concentrate on getting you airborne for now. At a glance you can sort of figure out how all of this works. The more power bars in a system, the more efficient that system will perform. If there's no power in a system, that system will cease to function. For now, as long as you have enough power to have your engines on, you don't really need to know much more. But if you hold F6, you will put full power to engines. F7 and it will put it to shields, and F5 will put it to weapons. Tapping these will add 1 bar, Alt plus tap will remove a bar, and holding Alt plus the bind will set that system to minimal power. Pressing F8 will balance the power. Put maximum to engines for now. Okay, we are now ready to take off. First thing you want to do is bring your speed limiter down to an absolute peak. You should already be pretty safe because of your landing gear speed restriction, but we don't want to fly off into the roof once we retract them. You can move the limiter up and down by pressing left Alt plus mouse scroll wheel. You can disable it entirely by setting a bind for it in flight movement. Set it right down low for now. Okay, so to take off we want to press spacebar. To retract landing gear, press N. Double check that by either confirming it on your HUD here, or just pop out to third person by pressing F4. You can move left and right using A and D, and forward and back using W and S. Down is control. Have a little check to make sure everything is working okay. Roll should be E and Q, and nose control of your ship should be using your mouse. Now would be when you realise if you need to make any adjustments to inversions, etc. Next up we need to call ATC to let us out of the hangar. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use the bind, which is by default left Alt plus N. Or you can press F1 to come into your Mobiglass, comms menu, go to friends and hit the name of the port that you're in. This can take some time depending on how busy your station currently is. Once the doors are open, feel free to take her out. Notch up your speed limiter a bit and have a little fly around. Now, as you're flying around there, let me just go over some of the elements on your HUD for you, or at least the most relevant ones. On the right here you have your VSI, which is your vertical speed indicator. In other words, your rate of ascent or descent. Above that we have your radar altimeter, which will give you your altitude above objects directly below you, and since it's radar this will fluctuate as you travel over uneven terrain such as mountains, etc. This right tape here will show you how much boost you have in your afterburner. To use your boost, press shift. To use space brake, press X. Right now, by having more power bars and engines, you will only increase the rate at which this bar falls back up. It does not increase the overall pull. That may change in the future though, so play around with your build if you think I'm wrong. God's sake. Okay, first thing you should do is find somebody who's better at flying to teach you about flying. At least we learned one thing. Don't fly too close to buildings, or, you know, you'll get repositioned. Anyway, in the centre here you have your pitch ladder. This tells you what orientation you are in with respect to the ground. 0 degrees is horizontal and parallel with the ground, and 90 would be straight up, minus 90 would be straight down. Definitely handy when you're flying in heavy fog or cloud cover. Along the top you have a compass bearing, and down the left you have your speed. As we've shown, the white indicates your speed limit. The blue square indicates your thrust input, and the bar inside the tape indicates your current speed with a more definite number below. Beside that we have a bunch of indicators. We've already shown you the landing gear one. Headlights can be activated by pressing L, and you can toggle into vertical takeoff mode by pressing K. If your ship has VTOL thrusters, this will direct your thrust downwards instead of back, giving you better control whilst hovering under gravity. You can also see one for coupled mode. This can uncouple your ship by holding C. This means your ship will now keep drifting along its current vector and stop automatically countering its current momentum. In atmosphere, your ship will still slowly slow down as it meets air resistance. In space, you will just keep drifting though, great for saving fuel and remaining a moving target. By pressing tab, you can ping with your radar. This will show you any ships or minables within range. This is currently the only way to see in the dark as well. You might have noticed you can directly interact with your cockpit to enable some of these functions as well if you prefer, but it really depends on the ship, and the binds are just more reliable to be honest. Hold F to move your head and select things. Now, that should be enough to get you moving and around the place across short distances. You'll eventually want to move out to distant objects in orbit or moons as well though. How you do that is by switching to navigation mode. This will bring down your shields and lock up your guns. This is due to change in the future, so check the pinned comment for any differences since then. To change between nav mode and combat mode, long press B. When in nav mode, you'll be able to fly at a higher top speed, bearing in mind you might be restricted either way if you're in atmosphere. In nav mode, your cruising speed, if unaffected by air resistance, will be more than double what it was before. This is good for covering ground faster when needed. Entering nav mode automatically spools up your quantum drive. This will let you very quickly jump to any point with a quantum marker. This can be missions, planets, moons, stations, outposts, friends, a wide variety of things. Point at the marker you'd like to jump to and press left click on the mouse once it is aligned. If you can't see the marker or it's obstructed, press F2. This will open the map. You can use your mouse and scroll wheel to navigate. Double click to zoom in and select your destination, then click set course. This will plan you a route that can take you via a set of waypoints that should get you around most large bodies. Travelling long distances can be tedious, so feel free to leave your seat by holding Y. Obviously, don't do that in a single-seater craft like this. When you reach your destination, sometimes you will need to contact ATC again when you're within range to access a hangar. To slow down, you can enter combat mode, bring your speed limiter back down, or lower your landing gear to artificially slow your ship. But it is best that you practice slowing down using manual control, as a lot of these options will make you feel like you're not in control of your ship for a little time. When touching down, remember to go into your mobiGlas and reorder fuel and a repair if required. Congratulations, you just successfully completed your first flight in the verse. Actually, before you go, there is one thing. I was going to put this in part 2, but you're all big boys and girls now, so I think you can handle it. There is a cruise control for your ship, which I'll touch on, as it will let you relax a little when doing any longer flights. There's two different ways to do this. You can either set this by speed using left alt C, and you can see it's active by the little C on your speed tape there. Then just add some thrust to get to the speed you want, or you can use the throttle trim. That lets you input a desired throttle amount and then uses a bind to keep that desired amount. This is only really useful on an axis obviously and isn't bound by default, but you'll find the set and release command under flight movement in the binds. Bear in mind though that this type maintains a throttle amount and your speed may change in relation to that when flying from space to atmosphere. In part 2 we'll cover a lot of extra functions on your ship, including removing and installing components, setting dead zones and custom curves for axis controls, and setting up a lot of advanced options so that the ship can start to really become a more personalised experience. Share this with anyone about to join the verse. Thank you kindly for watching and hopefully I'll see you again sometime. 07 guys.